Mr. Stark, is there room for more kids like me in the program? Unfortunately, there's not. He said there wasn't any room. Oh man, I wanted in on that too.
Kids, right? Right. Kids.
Is it weird that we have the same voice? No, not really. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Hello. Tonight I'm taking a look at the Bandai SH Figuarts Spider-Man Homecoming Spider-Man. Now, I was on the fence with this. Medicom has a beautiful Mafex version coming at some point this year, and I thought, maybe, no, nah. But what it comes down to is I have to compare it in my hands. I can look at pictures online and I can go, yeah, it looks okay, but it's not until it hits my hands that I completely decide whether I like something or not. That's just how I am. I'm a tactile kind of guy. My problem is I see a bunch of stuff online and then I go, oh, that should be cool, and then I get it. But looking at the package, you can see that it's the usual SH Figuarts style. It's a smaller type box. They put a graphic right through the window, which you can see most of the figure, but there's something behind here. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but still it's kind of hidden. There's stuff going down back under here. You can't see the feet. It's not terrible. I just like seeing what I'm getting, is what it comes down to. On the side, more background, Spider-Man in yellow. On the back, pretty promotional pictures, shows a bunch of poses, shows the different eyes, some accessories, how far it can bend. Down here's the warnings. The unreadables probably says something like, does not actually possess the proportionate strength of a spider. On the other side, pretty picture, Spider-Man in yellow. The top, a little bit more window, more background. Bottom, more unreadables, your winning lottery number, and another pretty picture. So, I'm going to get this open and see exactly what's going on here. Okay, going over the instructions, it just shows all the different hands. The head pops off. There's a tool in there to pop the eyes, which when I first dumped everything out of the package, I thought, what the hell is that? He's got a web knife or something? Because that's kind of what it looks like. But that's what you go in there and wedge the eyes out with. Got the different webs, got the cell phone, which I completely forgot about. And then in the back, it looks like there's a plug over a hole that you can either put a stand on. The plug itself, do not misplace. I love it when they say that about small stuff. I can't even find it now. And then the backpack plugs into the back too to be more secure than just the straps going over it. So that's cool. More unreadables down here. Says something like, if you thought that was a web knife, you're an idiot. Which I'm only referring to me, not anybody else that thought that it was a web knife. And there we go, all out of the package. And I have to say, I have to admit that this is an amazing figure. No pun intended. Well, kinda. Yeah, I didn't plan that. But I do have a few quibbles with it. Very serious quibbles. Looking at the sculpt, it's one of those figures like we see a lot from SH Figuarts where there's texture all over the figure. Now, in the movie, it did have a little bit of texture, but at this scale, sized down like this, I think they like to overdo it to kind of bring it out better in this small size. Plus, it makes it more visually interesting all over. The web lines are slightly raised. The black detail that is not in the original Spider-Man costume, but added to here, that doesn't really matter to me. Yeah, I kind of like it. It's a little bit extra. It's raised. The proportions are pretty good. I think it's the articulation that kind of cuts into it. And this was a toss-up here. Either put in a lot of articulation, that way he can move like Spider-Man, or leave out a lot of articulation and preserve the sculpt. And I think here, because of the articulation, it kind of wins out. I kind of like it. But then we get to the paint, and I feel like this is where it's kind of just barely slightly off the mark. Of course there's red, of course there's blue, of course there's black, but I feel like it's been movieized. I feel like it's kind of that darker, drabber color that sometimes they use in movies. But looking at stills, yes, I actually did homework this time. The blue seems a little bit brighter in the movie. Now, it depends on the picture. It depends on where the picture came from. It depends on the settings on my monitor. But the blue and the red both feel like they should be a little bit brighter. But everything is painted nicely, so I can't complain too much. Get up to the head, and the lenses over the eyes is what draws your eye the most. Yes, the texture's there on the whole mask, the raised web lines, the scaly look to it, but it's the eyes kind of sticking out at you that makes you go, "Oh, well, that's kind of different." They kind of stick out because of the feature that's built in there, but also the silver they used on the lens. I don't know why they went that way. Again, in the movie, as far as I can tell, it was just stark white. Stark white, that's pretty funny. Maybe Bandai went with silver to kind of make it stand out, but I feel like the white would stand out just as much. So this was a creative decision. It doesn't bug me too much, but I noticed it right off the bat. I thought, oh, wait, that doesn't seem right. Now, like I said, in order for it to move like Spider-Man, they had to cut in a lot of articulation, and that kind of takes away from the overall aesthetic of the figure itself. Yes, it's an action figure. Yes, the joints are always exposed on figures like this, but there's a lot of cuts here. And like I said, I prefer it because I can get him into Spider-Man poses. You can see it's open on the back of the neck. That's to be open so he can look up. And the shoulders are wacky. I've never seen this type setup before. It works, but you got to work at it. You got to kind of figure out what's going on in there. In fact, when I was messing with the left arm, let's see if I can do it again, it actually popped out. And you can see that it's a ball joint at the front of the hole going into a hole here. It works like a ball joint, comes out, goes up, goes down, moves all around on that ball, and then you have a ball going into that assembly that goes around, and then you have a ball coming out, well, not really a ball, it's a hinge and swivel coming out to the shoulder. So if you're used to action figures and you go to, just raise the arm, you're only getting up to about right there unless you just get around and then come up. The lack of a bicep swivel throws me off too because it's supposedly all integrated into here because you can rotate around on the ball. But again, learning curve. If you want to get up and swinging, you gotta kind of get around. Getting back to neutral position too can sometimes be a little bit confusing. You got to rotate around, come down, kind of push, weave around. And I'm not quite sure where it started inside the box. I feel like that's a little bit gappy, and I don't know if it's me doing something wrong or if I'm just, it's supposed to be that way. And then there's the floating belt. Again, it's made that way to keep from hindering articulation in the hips, but sometimes it just gets in the way. Sometimes you're moving around the waist. You have this. You can't actually bring that down because it's pinching in the back. So you got to kind of here, but it works really well for bringing the hip up to where you want it to go. So like I said, it's a trade-off. You either get perfect statue-like aesthetics in your action figure, or you get a bunch of joints. Until they come up with a fake skin or cloth or suit of some kind that can go over joints, look good, and not hinder articulation at all, that trade-off is going to be in place. Now going over articulation, there's a ball going up into the headpiece, a ball going down into the neck piece, and then a ball at the bottom of the neck. And what all that does is gives you an amazing range of movement in the neck. You can get side, you can get side, you can get forward. He can't quite bury his chin, but that's because of the length of the neck itself. And then he can look completely up. When I first got this out of the package, it wasn't wanting to go back that far. The joints were kind of stuck, and as I worked it, it came loose. I went over the shoulder a minute ago. It's all kinds of craziness up in there, but you can get the arm up to about right there. It swivels around. You can move up, you can move down, you can move forward and out like a butterfly joint, back. It's a lot of movement there, just trust me. Double elbow comes up to about right there. There is a twist there, but it's mostly just this cover right here twisting on top of the joint. Usual Figuarts wrist, it's a swivel hinge swivel. You can get it going up and down, or you can twist it, bring it around, and go side to side. And then, of course, there's swivel. The torso has a ball in the top. You go forward, you go back, a little bit of side, a little bit of side. I feel like it should twist, but it's very, very tight, and it pops. And I don't know if it's actually supposed to do that, but I wanted to show that it can do that. Ball joint in the waist, I think there's a ball joint in the waist, and then going down to the hips, there's two separate pieces here, and I can't quite tell what's going on in there. But it goes forward, it goes back, side, side. In conjunction with the whole torso assembly, you can get over pretty far. Back, side, side. The hips, again, there's some magic going on right there. There's a swivel. This piece swivels with the whole thing to come up as far as you can get before the belt starts pinching, but look at that. That's kind of amazing. And then that whole assembly hinges out nearly 90. Back, again, the butt moves with the whole sculpt, so it's not hindering anything there. Also underneath, there's this cover part that comes out, so when you do spread the legs, it looks like one full piece. I like that. There's a swivel at the thigh. Double knee nearly comes all the way up. Hinge and swivel at the ankle, goes back, goes forward, swivels. There's a forward-facing pin for rocker, and then there's a slight toe joint. It doesn't want to go up past that. For accessories, Spidey comes with several hands. He comes with 2 fists. He comes with 2 relaxed hands. He comes with 2 splayed out hands for wall crawling. He comes with 2 thwip hands. He comes with 2 hands that I don't really know what these are for. I guess they're just extras thrown in. Surfs up or call me, whatever. He comes with left and right cell phone holding hands. It even has a little notch in the thumb that most of today's youth has now. I'm joking, I have that shit too on my hand. And then he comes with 2 small grip hands with a slight hole through it, and that's for web swinging. Now, because of the size of the figure, the hands are, or well, at least seem a little bit small, but it's not a huge deal. They pop right off. You pop the other hand on. I have noticed on my left one, I've switched out all these hands several times. There was a couple of times when I pulled and the whole assembly came out of the forearm. There, I just plugged it back in, plugged the hand back on. He comes with several web lines. There's the longest web line, and that goes in the grip hand. Really easy to put in. It's just a hole in the hand. Push that in. And the more I've messed with this, the more I've been able to straighten it out. Now, it did feel like it bent too far, almost like I was going to bend it in half, but it hasn't broken. You can straighten it out if you kind of work with it. But it also feels and looks a lot like hot glue. So I feel like if you wanted to make more webs, hot glue it up, baby. And then he comes with 2 web shooting webs where it looks like it's coming out of his wrist. He has a short one for, you know, that initial thwip. And then he comes with a longer one. And to put those on, you just pop the hand off and you have his thwip hands. You put this on before you put the hand on, and then you put the hand on after that. It's kind of difficult because you feel like, oh, you're going to break the web. But I haven't had a problem with it, and it looks pretty good. Like I said about the hand, he comes with a cell phone that fits right into it. I feel like this is a little bit plain. It's essentially just a rectangle with a screen sculpt on the top. I kind of wish they had went with some kind of, you know, somebody calling or a screen on there, but it's tiny. I guess I'm happy with this. And as I mentioned, there's a little groove in the thumb. You hit that, put it in there, there you go. On the back, he has a plug in the middle of the red spider. It doesn't stick out too far. You notice that it does have a cut in it, but it doesn't really draw your eye. To get that out, you have to pry up at the top. I picked a hell of a day to cut my fingernails. Again, I don't know why I always cut them right before I have to do something that involves something like this. It also comes with a plug that has the stand attachment to it. Plug that in, and there you go. Too bad I don't have a Figuarts stand, or I would totally use it. And then this is also where the backpack plugs in. The backpack is kind of a soft sculpt, but it's a backpack. I guess it's supposed to be soft, but it has a handle up at the top. It has a couple zippers. The paint is a little bit plain, but again, backpack. And to put that on, you pop this strap off. You bring it up over his arm, put the strap around, plug this into his back, and then bring this strap and plug it back in. It looks good. It looks like it's hanging in the back. Straps don't stick out too far, so yeah, I like that. And then finally, he comes with 3 sets of eyes. In the package, he comes with the widest eyes. I think I like these the best. They look most Spider-Man-y. He comes with a set of eyes that are slightly more shut. And then finally, he's got a pair of squinting eyes. And you can mix and match between those. You can make one eye squinty, one eye wide. Yarr. And to change those out, you pull that off here. I've had this pop off here, but it's essentially just pop it back on, bring the head, and it slides off. It doesn't really lock down. And then, like I mentioned at the first, you have this web knife, is what I'm going to keep calling it. You reach in there, pop the eye up, and then just pull it out. You grab the other one, put it back in, and those stay in pretty good. It doesn't feel like they're just going to fall out. For size comparison, here he is next to the Mark 46 Civil War Iron Man. I believe this is what the Homecoming Mark 47 is based on, except it's just gray in the center and then down the top of the legs. I feel like Spider-Man's really small here. It works. When you're in action poses, it's not even noticeable, but standing straight up and down like this, maybe a little bit short. Here he is next to the Figuarts Civil War Captain America. And again, action poses, no problem. Straight up and down? I don't know. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends Spider-Man Homecoming Spider-Man. I feel like the Marvel Legends looks like an adult trying to be a teenager, which is essentially what Tom Holland is doing in Spider-Man Homecoming. The Figuarts is more of a smaller human, almost teenager, you know, with a little muscle mass on them. But you'll notice on both of them, they went with that drab, darker red and blue. So at the end of the day, I'm happy I got this. It has great posability. When you get into a Spider-Man type pose, you think, holy shit, nailed it. But I just wish it was a little bit closer in color. It throws me off. I really want the wide eyes. I really want like a lighter shade of blue. Not super bright, not all 60s Spider-Man, but just a shade lighter. I know I keep harping on that, but to me, this version of Spider-Man is more playful, more jokey, more comfortable, and having more fun being Spider-Man than the last couple of Spider-Mans we got. More happy-go-lucky, I guess you could say, if you could get that from the color of red and blue. But the posability, amazing. I wish I had more dioramas to put him in. I wish I had more stands that didn't just grab him around the waist and look all awkward in these pictures. But if nothing else, this figure makes me want to go get some of those Figuarts stands because it wouldn't be sticking off in front of the body. It wouldn't be covering anything while I'm doing these poses. And any figure that makes me want to go buy more stuff to enhance the figure itself, that's a good figure in my book. Still have to get the Mafex. I'm afraid of QC issues there, but it does look damn fantastic. For the moment, this is the Spider-Man on my shelf. The Marvel Legends was up there. It just got knocked down. Plus, with Figuarts slowly taking over my MCU shelf, this just fits better all around. So to recap, if you fast-forwarded through the whole video, which I don't blame you. Posability, amazing. Colors, a little bit dark. Eyes are silver for some odd reason, but still a damn fine figure. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you in the Fwoosh.